June 7, 2021. A frantic 911 call cuts through the silence of a South Carolina night. A father's voice, trembling, gasping, broken. "It's bad," he says. "It's bad." He says he found his wife and son, murdered, shot to death outside their hunting lodge. But what he didn't say was that this story was just getting started, because the man who made that call was no ordinary father. He was Alex Murdaugh, heir to one of the most powerful legal dynasties in the South. And his family was hiding secrets darker than the Carolina night. This is the story of a family empire that ruled the courtroom by day and hid monsters by night. A real-life Southern Gothic tale of power, addiction, deception, and death. Let me take you to a place where privilege is protection and justice is a family business. The Murdaughs, legacy of control. Who were the Murdaughs? For over 100 years, the Murdaugh family wasn't just in the law, they were the law in Hampton County, South Carolina. 3 generations of men named Randolph Murdaugh Sr., Jr., and 3 served as solicitors, South Carolina's version of district attorney, in the 14th Judicial Circuit. They prosecuted crimes, shaped juries, influenced judges. If you committed a crime in the Low Country, your fate probably rested in a Murdaugh's hands. By the time Alex Murdaugh came into power, the family name was practically untouchable. But this wasn't some warm-hearted Southern dynasty. The Murdaughs were known for their intimidation, their control, their wealth. They lived on sprawling land, on hunting lodges and beach houses, and drove expensive cars. They hunted animals, sure, but sometimes, it seemed, people too. Paul and Maggie Murdaugh. The victim's Maggie Murdaugh was Alex's wife. Friends described her as loyal, kind, fiercely protective of her sons. Paul was the younger of the 2 Murdaugh boys. Just 22, he was known for partying hard, causing trouble, and avoiding consequences. The last photo of Maggie and Paul alive was taken at 7:44 p.m. on June 7th. Paul was smiling with a friend's dog near the kennels at their Moselle estate. 2 hours later, they were both dead. The night of the murders. Let's rewind to that humid summer evening. June 7th, 2021. Alex Murdaugh claimed he had dinner with Maggie and Paul around 6:30 p.m. Then, around 9 p.m., he said he left to visit his sick mother. At 10:07 p.m., a 911 call came through. "I need the police and an ambulance immediately. My wife and child have been shot badly." Alex's voice cracked. He sounded out of breath, panicked. Police arrived to find a gruesome scene. Maggie and Paul had been shot multiple times near the dog kennels on their property. Shell casings from 2 different firearms were scattered around the bodies, suggesting 2 guns were used. Paul's wounds were especially horrific, his head nearly destroyed by a shotgun blast. But something was off, something that stuck in the air like rot. There were no signs of forced entry, no stolen valuables, no bloody footprints leading away, no suspects in sight, only the Murdaugh name and the blood-soaked ground beneath it. And Alex? Police noted that his clothes were clean, no blood, no dirt, no sweat. The perfect grieving father, maybe a little too perfect. Sins of the son. The first crack in the foundation came fast. Investigators soon realized Paul Murdaugh had a target on his back. 2 years earlier, in February 2019, Paul had been involved in a deadly boating accident. He was drunk, so drunk that surveillance footage showed him stumbling, shirtless, into a store to buy alcohol using his older brother's ID. He and his friends took the boat out late that night. It crashed. A 19-year-old girl named Mallory Beach was thrown from the vessel. Her body wasn't found for a week. And here's the part that made everyone furious. Paul was charged, but never saw jail. Never even wore a jail uniform. He pleaded not guilty and kept living his life like nothing happened. Locals whispered, the Murdaugh name is a shield. But Mallory's family didn't forget. The lawsuit they filed put pressure on the Murdaughs. Financial pressure. Public pressure. Could the murders have been revenge? Had someone finally cracked under the weight of injustice? Or had the family turned on itself? Because behind closed doors, things were falling apart. Alex Murdaugh was addicted to opioids. He was spending thousands every week, stealing from his own law firm, his own clients, anyone who trusted him. His marriage? Reportedly on the rocks. Maggie had hired a forensic accountant. She was looking into the family finances. And Paul? Some say he had started to speak out about what he knew. Maybe too much. The evidence that whispered. From the moment investigators arrived at Moselle, the Murdaugh hunting estate, something was off. Too clean, too quiet, too controlled. But here's the thing about crime scenes. Even when people try to clean them up, they always leave something behind. Forensic findings: 2 different guns had been used in the murders, a .300 Blackout semi-automatic rifle for Maggie, and a 12-gauge shotgun for Paul. That fact alone made it feel like a planned execution, not a heat-of-the-moment crime. But there's more. Paul's injuries showed close-range firing, including a devastating shot to the head that practically destroyed his skull. Maggie was shot 5 times, once in the back, twice as she turned, and again while lying on the ground. A kill shot. These weren't random acts of rage. It was systematic, precise, intentional. Surveillance footage and a deadly lie. The Murdaugh property had little to no working surveillance, supposedly. But Paul had been using his phone, Snapchat and all, just before the murders. At 8:44 p.m., minutes before the estimated time of death, Paul took a Snapchat video of a dog at the kennel. You can hear his voice, Maggie's voice, and another man's voice. That voice, it didn't belong to a stranger. It was Alex Murdaugh, which means he was at the murder scene just minutes before the killings. A direct contradiction to what he told police. This changed everything. Suspects in the shadows. Let's talk suspects and the sick web of motives surrounding this family. At first, people wanted to believe the murders were a revenge killing. A vigilante avenging Mallory Beach's death. A former client Alex wronged. Someone angry at the system. But when you really start peeling back the layers, something more insidious comes into focus. 1. The stranger theory, the red herring. There were whispers of a man seen near Moselle. Some claimed a mystery truck drove by the night of the murders, but nothing substantial came of it. No arrests, no solid leads, just ghost stories. 2. The House of Cards theory. By mid-2021, Alex's empire was collapsing. He'd embezzled millions from his law firm. He was facing lawsuits from Mallory Beach's family. His wife was digging into his finances. Paul's court date was approaching. If Maggie divorced him and the financial records became public, everything would burn. And Paul, he was both the symbol of Alex's public failure and the reason he was being sued for millions. Some believe Maggie and Paul weren't randomly targeted. They were liabilities. 3. The hit theory. There were also rumors that Alex had tried to hire someone before. We'll get to that. But for now, understand this. Alex Murdaugh became a suspect in his own family's murder. He said he had no idea who did it. But maybe he did. The hitman in the weeds. Now this is where things spiral into absolute insanity. September 4th, 2021. Just 3 months after the murders, police receive another 911 call. Alex Murdaugh had been shot in the head on the side of a rural road. What? He said he was changing a tire when a stranger pulled up and opened fire. A good old Southern Highway ambush. Except it wasn't. Police dug deeper. Within days, the truth came out. Alex Murdaugh hired a hitman to kill him. Why? So that his surviving son, Buster, could collect a $10 million life insurance payout. Let that sink in. The man who lied his wife and son tried to stage his own murder for cash. And the man he hired? A cousin, Curtis Eddie Smith, a local drug dealer and occasional friend. He shot Alex in the head, but Alex survived with just a superficial wound. It wasn't a murder attempt. It was a botched suicide by hitman. Alex confessed it all. This wasn't just a family tragedy anymore. It was a Shakespearean downfall. A dynasty rotting from the inside out. When the masks fell, as the story unraveled, the public lost its mind. This wasn't just a Southern legal drama anymore. This was Game of Thrones in the Carolina swamps. Alex Murdaugh was arrested. Not for the murders, not yet, but for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. Investigators discovered he'd stolen over $8 million from clients, including the family of a quadriplegic man whose wrongful death case he'd handled. And this is where it gets dark, like morally sickening dark. He allegedly funneled settlement money meant for a housekeeper's grieving sons, his own employees, and kept it. Let me say that again. He stole millions from the sons of his dead housekeeper. And remember that name, Gloria Satterfield. She died in a mysterious trip and fall at the Murdaugh estate in 2018. No autopsy, no investigation, just hush money and buried questions. People started asking, were Maggie and Paul his only victims? Had Alex Murdaugh been covering up deaths for years? The media exploded. The case dominated headlines. Podcasts, Netflix documentaries, TikToks, Twitter threads. Everyone wanted to know, what the hell happened to this family? And more importantly, who else needed to die for the truth to finally come out? The trial of the century. January 2023. South Carolina. The trial of Alex Murdaugh begins. People camped outside the courthouse. Reporters flew in from across the country. Netflix crews lurked. It was must-see horror playing out in real time. Alex Murdaugh was charged with the murders of Maggie and Paul. The prosecution's case was simple but deadly. Motive: Alex was desperate, financially cornered, afraid everything was going to collapse. Opportunity: he was at the crime scene minutes before the murders, caught on Paul's phone. Lies: he claimed he wasn't there, then got caught, then changed his story. The voice in Paul's Snapchat video, the one taken just minutes before the murders, became a central pillar of the case. 3 different witnesses, including Paul's friends and family, confirmed that third voice was Alex. He lied over and over again, and it all started to crumble. The forensics: no murder weapons were ever found. Blood spatter analysis was inconclusive. No DNA evidence tying him directly to the shooting. But the prosecution didn't need a smoking gun. They had something worse, a narrative that made sense. A man drowning in debt, facing lawsuits, wife sniffing through his finances, son facing criminal trial. And if they were gone, the money stayed in his name. The jury listened, watched, took notes. They looked at a man who used to own the courtroom, now trapped inside one. The verdict: March 2nd, 2023. After 6 weeks of trial and just under 3 hours of deliberation, the jury returned. The courtroom was silent. You could hear breath stop. Guilty on all counts. The crowd outside erupted. Alex Murdaugh, once untouchable, was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences for the murders of his wife and son. He stood motionless, expressionless. Years of power, privilege, and protection had finally evaporated. The judge, Clifton Newman, looked him dead in the eyes. "You've engaged in such duplicitous conduct here in the courtroom, lying and denying, and showing such a lack of remorse." Then came the twist that chilled everyone. Even after being found guilty, Alex still insisted he didn't do it. He said he loved his wife and son, that someone else must have done it, that he would never have hurt them. The lies didn't stop, even as the walls closed in. Still more bodies. Just when it seemed like the nightmare was over, investigators started reopening old cases tied to the Murdaugh name. 1. Gloria Satterfield. In 2018, the Murdaugh family's longtime housekeeper fell down the stairs at Moselle and died shortly after. Her sons never saw a dime from the wrongful death insurance claim because Alex pocketed the $4.3 million payout. Her body was exhumed, her death reclassified as suspicious. 2. Stephen Smith, a 19-year-old nursing student found dead on a rural road in 2015 with massive head trauma. The death was ruled a hit and run, but locals always whispered Stephen was close to Buster Murdaugh. In 2023, his case was reclassified as a homicide, and the name Murdaugh reappeared in interviews and affidavits. 3. The opioid spiral. It was confirmed that Alex Murdaugh had been abusing opioids for over 20 years, spending $50,000 a week at one point. Let that sink in. $50,000 a week to feed a monster inside his own head. Some said the addiction warped his brain. Others said it was just an excuse. Either way, bodies were stacking, truths were unraveling, and the ghost of power still clung to the name Murdaugh. The unanswered question. Here's the part that keeps people awake. Did Alex Murdaugh really kill Maggie and Paul alone? Or was he covering for someone else? Some believe it was a group effort, a pact, a plan that went sideways. Others think Alex is a textbook sociopath, willing to destroy his own blood to save himself. And then there are those who believe in something darker. A curse, a legacy soaked in blood. A Southern Gothic family so rotten it couldn't help but collapse in on itself. You can feel it when you look at Moselle now. The silence, the empty kennels, the ghost of Paul's last Snapchat echoing through the trees. The truth? We may never really know. But here's the question I'll leave you with. Do you believe Alex Murdaugh acted alone? Or is someone out there, still watching? Still waiting? If you made it this far, you're a legend. Drop a comment. Do you think justice was really served? Or was the truth buried along with the bodies? Hit like if this one shook you. Subscribe for more real horror stories just like this, the kind that stay with you long after the screen goes black. Because here on Creepy Case Files, we don't just tell stories, we dig up what should have stayed buried.